Alright, so what is going on, everybody? Suomi versus Rulers of Rome. We're going to have the quarterfinals of this World Desert Championship over here. This is going to be the first map, which is always a random map, and we actually started a fairly crazy one. We will have the map that I actually forgot its name, but I've seen this yesterday in one of the sets. This is the map where you have all the boars in the middle, and you have very limited starting food back home. And you start with a hunting wolf, and you have to use this hunting wolf, which by the way heals itself, to lure in boars from the middle, and you also start with one spearman. So what you see, oh, double lure. Look at the double lure from Ganji over here to start the day with. Or you could ask how they got in here, and the answer is that they actually defeated White Wolf Palace. Ganji, Kamigawa, and Vodka defeating Yo, Lix, and Vivi is probably the biggest upset of the tournament so far. Now they have to fight against Max, Vilas, and Zupi. We will have cold colors for Suomi on the south, with Zupi being Vikings flank on the right. Vilas will be Ethiopians flank in blue, and Max will be playing pocket in green. Lithuanians. Other side, Ganji is going to be Mayans flank, Kamigawa is Frank's pocket in yellow, and Britons for Vodka in red. I would say that both teams have fairly reasonable civilizations, as Ganji actually finishes off a very, very nice double lure over here. Beautifully executed. And as I said, the good news about these hunting wolves is that they actually heal up over time. So you're not actually losing HP for luring in these boars. Basically, you have to keep luring these in until there is any left in the middle. So in terms of comparing the pockets, I would say that I prefer Frank's over here, especially with the current relic layout, which seems very wacky. I'm just noticing the relics. Look at this. One over here, one over here, one over here. So 3 of the relics are very, very close to the far left corner. One is in between Viles and Vodka, and the final one is over here. So there's absolutely no relics on the right side of the map. It is possible that Max will be able to secure all 3 of these relics, because technically this corner is supposed to be controlled by them. But still, should they lose this part of the map, then I'm not sure how Max is gonna be able to access relics, because they seem to be extremely uneven across the map. So because of that, I might actually prefer the Frank's pocket over here for Kamigawa. Obviously, Lithuanians could have been very helpful, as look at Vilas. Look at Vilas, he's using the spearman to block the boar that's being lured in by the wolf. Now, one thing that you have to consider is that wolf can actually attack the spearman, and this wolf is a sturdy beast. So because of that, you might be able to take that fight and maybe even kill the spearman before the boar actually kills your hunting wolf. So, as things stand, it looks like Suomi is just generally focused on poking down the opponent's hunting wolves over here, as they will trade spearmen. One of the nice things about having Lithuanians here is that your actual extra starting spearman moves a little bit faster, so you can chase down the opponent's spearman or so. Yeah, the wolf is actually a hero unit. It actually heals itself, and there was a little bit of an interesting hitbox over there, the boar hitting from a huge distance. Zupi is gonna have to get that boar a little closer to his wolf, because otherwise this is going to de-aggro, and this is a good thing to discuss. Why did this boar de-aggro right now? The reason is because this wolf was very far away anyways, but as long as you were in the range or in the vision of these ostriches, the boar is going to keep following, because the nature has a shared vision. So the reason why that boar didn't de-aggro before, despite the fact that it was very far away from the luring wolf, is because the ostriches were still seeing the wolf, and that meant that the boar also sees the wolf. You don't need to heal the wolf in the town center, because it heals by itself, so there is no need for that. And Ganji accidentally runs into the TC fire of the opponent here, losing the starting spearman. In this one, we have big wolf fight over here. I have absolutely no idea who is winning this, but we get the answer. Kamigawa is the one that takes down the wolf from the opponent. The interesting thing is that all players still have their wolves up, apparently from Suomi, or at least that's what Capture Age is saying. I definitely see one from Viles, and I see one from Max, and Zupi also has one. Is it possible that your hunting wolf respawns if you lose it? Because I definitely saw a wolf getting killed. Or it could have been a nature wolf, that's definitely true. I don't know if there is actual nature wolves in here. Okay, King Marv is actually saying it's a nature wolf. I'm gonna believe him because he's also a member of RoR, so I would assume that he probably even maybe helped preparing. Okay, it was a Gaia wolf then. Never mind. Alright, so let's see what we got here. We have a standard 22 prop archers from our Britain player. 22 pop as well for Ganji. That's actually pretty fast if you consider that he's Mayans. So that's a very, very fast feudal age here in archer flank for Ganji. As the Suomi players team up their wolves. This is exactly how they managed to defeat Yo and Lix in tuples. They teamed up their scouts and they were able to pick off early vills. They did the same thing with Gamer Legion A. So this is something that Suomi loves to do, just teaming up their early scouts, or in this case wolves, and just trying to get some damage done. And these wolves are pretty devastating, so 100 HP, 4 attack, they're way better than a single scout here, as we will have the militias coming in here from Zupi, who's opening with a Men-at-Arms opening eventually. Kurupevi, thank you so much for the Prime sub, welcome back, I appreciate it a lot. So for now, Ganji is going to be safe, his wood line has been walled, but he only has 3 on wood, which is not ideal with Mayans. You technically want to go for an arch build, he actually has another wood line, so never mind, he's gonna be all good until the Men-at-Arms arrive, and this suddenly starts becoming a little bit more problematic. So he's going to have to run away from his berries. He might end up losing a will. Indeed, here comes the first will kill overall. And now his wolf might also get picked off by the Men-at-Arms and the wolves of the other side. It looks like Suomi might end up going for some crazy team wolves here. Look at Viles locking down the far left of the map already. Archer ranges coming in here for Vodka. And in terms of pockets, it looks like our yellow player Kamigawa is going to hit the gold mine of Zupi. Full walls are already up for max, so he can focus only on being aggressive against the opponent, and he might send his own scouts towards the base of Ganji as well. So Men-at-Arms, I don't think that they actually have the downhills bonus here, so this lumber camp should stay up for a while, and once Ganji has this house up, he will have 2 archers, and the 2 archers should be able to clean this one up. The more interesting thing is going to be the scouts coming in from Max. Max has 4 scouts on the field, and they are coming in just now to the other wood line, force defensive tower on Ganji's gold, and it looks like Ganji's the one that gets doubled, maybe even tripled here. Nope, Vilas apparently is just sending his stuff towards the base of Vodka. Vodka will actually spot this one, so he knows it's coming, but in terms of archer numbers, he's behind by 3, which is a bit of a surprise because he's got the faster working Britain ranges, something that the opponents do not have. But still, since his opponent doesn't know how many archers are inside here, this is not something that Vilas will engage. Ganji is still getting doubled right now. The thing is that he lost 2 wills so far. That's what we're seeing right now. Scouts coming in as well. He was forced to make a defensive tower. He's sort of the punching bag in this game as things stand. So, oh, look at the team coordination from Suomi. They drag away the archers to the left, dive in with the archers on the right, and another wheel goes down from Ganji. Ganji is really having a hard time over here because he's just getting so much focus down, and maybe a bit of a miscoordination here for Vodka as he pops out the archers to the right side, but that means that these archers can push off his lumberjacks for the time being. Suomi members are mostly Vod, whereas RoR members not so much. But it looks like we're going to have these scouts of Kamigawa with the extra HP on Franks chasing down the ones from Max. Max, considering that he's fully Vod, and his teammates are also more or less Vod, he might actually try to go for an earlier Castle Age here, although he's mixing in some more scouts, he's up to 7, and grabbing Bloodlines. So he will try to go for an extended Feudal Age here, it seems, as he's waiting for Bloodlines to kick in, and he will turn back to fight this one when the reinforcements come in. Kamigawa right now has the HP advantage because he's Franks, but when Bloodlines kicks in, he will suddenly be the one without the HP advantage. Bit of a scuffle on the left side, fletching for both players. There's also a couple of skirms being mixed in here by Vodka, so he can actually take a slightly better engagement here, but as I said, numbers aren't favoring him. It's 10 archers, 1 skirm versus 16 archers. Vodka is waiting to unpop the rest of the archers, but he kinda has to. This is a moment where Viles will be forced to retreat, but is he actually gonna be forced to retreat here? Because his gold mine is in a really, really bad spot. or at least his opponent's gold mine is. Defensive tower coming in here for Vodka. We also saw defensive tower coming up for Zoopy, as the archers are now coming in to push away Zoopy from his own wood line. And the thing is that Zoopy is at 8 archers. We have 12 for Gunji. Faster working Britain range is a team bonus coming in clutch here. So it seems like the left flank, Suomi is winning this one, but with the tower going up, the gold mine will be safe for our red player Vodka. And I don't think that Vilas will be able to do that much damage. In comparison, Zoopy could be in trouble, because he's gonna get doubled here pretty badly, although the scouts are coming in from both players. +1 defense in for Kamigawa. No defense upgrades for Max, only bloodlines, so this should be a fairly even engagement. Although the archers have to focus down the spearmen to make this competitive, which didn't happen, so it looks like Suomi ends up cleaning this one up very nicely, and Max, potentially the best pocket player in the world, going into Castle Age here to start the day with. The other pocket is not that far behind, so Kamigawa going into castle himself. Suomi, however, possesses almost 10 villagers lead. In terms of wheelbarrows, they also have 2 players with wheelbarrow, and on the other side we only have 1. Not a single eco upgrade for Gunji, he's just now grabbing the bit axe, but not a single eco upgrade either for Zoopy. Zoopy only has wheelbarrow, but that is because he's Vikings. Zoopy hasn't gotten a single eco upgrade just yet, also has to idle his TC quite a bit, so his eco isn't going to be as amazing as it could possibly be. Archers now coming in to relieve these scouts. As I would think that at this point RoR may need to fall back a little bit and play a bit more defensive, because I don't think that they can actually destroy Zoopy here that easily, and potentially Max with a couple more scouts could clean this one up, but it looks like RoR thinks otherwise, and they will dive in. The defensive tower coming in clutch here for Zoopy to protect that gold mine. And the thing is that Zoopy, his eco is going to be okay because he's Vikings, but he's only single range archers still. He's very far from clicking up to Castle Age, and this could be a massive difference. Actually, what am I talking about? He already clicked up. He clicked up. Gunji is the one that's very far away from Castle Age. As I said, I'm a little rusty over here. Didn't really have the time to warm up, so sorry for that. Zoopy clicked up, which is very cool, but he's only 1 range archers. On the other side, Gunji is so far away from clicking up that that could be very troublesome. His archers will just get destroyed by knights, and these archers are just here in the middle of nowhere. That's the main problem, that now you gotta keep these archers alive against the knights that are coming in, and knights with +2 will destroy this very easily, so you gotta hide them in a corner or something like that. Especially because Gunji is very far away from Castle Age. He was delayed quite heavily adding food eco, and it looks like, yeah, he just doesn't have the resources to click up whatsoever. On the other side, Kamigawa is floating quite a lot of resources, should be able to grab eco upgrades, +2 defense as well, and go for 2 additional TCs. Max already adding 1 TC, and maybe a monastery could be better solution for him. Is there a second range from Zoopy? Oh, there is. There is actually a second range. As I said, I didn't have the time to warm up, and there's a lot of things going on, so I just totally missed the second range. Like, the awkward thing with Zoopy was that you didn't actually experience him having the second range, right? If you look at the archer numbers, you just don't see that archer number advantage that you were meant to be seeing. This is why I thought he was 1 range, because in every fight he had lower archer numbers than his opponent did. Now Gunji will soon have even archer numbers to him though, because these archers are destined to die here. The crossbow will kick in a couple of seconds, and you're going to lose most of those archers. This might have been an overextension from Gunji here. He's not gonna get anything for these archers. And as things stand, Suomi is a 5-wheel lead, and they also have all 3 players in Castle Age, with this flank already being in Castle Age, 18 crossbows versus a not fully walled Gunji. This goldmine can be potentially threatened by crossbows from this hill, and Gunji still needs about 2 minutes to get up into Castle Age. So, as things stand, on the left side we have a fairly peaceful fight. The defensive tower was up from Vodka, so he will be staying on 1 TC for the time being. And I have to say that Vilas actually went for some interesting team walls over here. So he started out team walling himself, but he didn't finish it, and he just ends up walling himself on the south. Now this could be a good one for RoR. They have the knights here with +1/+2, and the crossbows are also coming in from the other side. And while Gunji is going to serve the role of being the punching bag, they could intercept the entire army of Viles, and that could be very devastating. Now, these are Ethiopian crossbows that are just now grabbing Thumbring, so this may still not be enough for RoR to entirely clean this one up, but the Knights are helping quite a bit as Vodka takes the hill, and this is a beautiful cleanup. This is a so good cleanup that this could allow Vodka to head either towards the pocket and delay him, or you could go towards the base of Viles. Viles is down to 6 crossbowmen, despite the fact that he has Thumbring on them, that still won't crack it. Ballistic's already on the way for Zupi here, as a crossbow coming in for Gunji. He actually can't afford Botkin Arrow right now. So Gunji is in a very rough spot, and the only way that RoR is gonna have a shot at potentially letting him live is if they can retaliate against Viles, but it's very possible that they can, because Viles's base is sort of lying wide open for potential aggression. Knights will be coming from the back though, and that's quite a lot of green Knights. This will be spotted by Kamigawa. So Kamigawa sees that there is Knights coming in, and this could be a pretty bad sandwich here for Vodka. Might have been a bad timing for this one, because the Knights are coming with the hill advantage, and the other hill is also in the hands of Suomi. This is an excellent fight for the Finns. Thumbring Ethiopian crossbows with the hill. The Knights are not actually focusing down the crossbows, which at least gives Vodka a chance to get some value for his own crossbows, but still, this is a massive massacre, and if you look at the army numbers, they're still looking close, but all the advantage that RoR may have had on the left flank is now gone. Right flank, Suomi has a firm lead here, second TC coming in for Zupi. He already has handcard, Boso as well. In fact, all Finns have Boso. And on the other side, you already have crossbows moving in. This could be a good fight for Gunji. He takes the hill here with the Mayan crossbows, but he is still without ballistics. He's the only archer player without that. Free TC boom for both pocket players, 62 and 63 villas. And you already have monks coming in. That's the other thing, that at this point, the way that things are standing, 2 relics will be guaranteed for Suomi, and they could potentially yoink this third one. Speaking of that third one, there's a hole here on the walls of Vodka that he didn't spot, and that could end up being a disaster at some point. Now it's going to be, once again, crossbow defense for Vodka, but 1 versus 2, and that's a lot of Knights, so you don't really want to take that fight if you have a choice. But keep in mind that Zupi's force could also be sandwiched in between here, so just as much as Vodka lost his entire force, this could be even worse for Zupi. His entire army is gonna get completely annihilated. This is a perfect sandwich. And now, Zupi is the one that dropped quite heavily in archer numbers. Ballistics just now coming in for our purple player. There's a couple more crossbows that Gunji wasn't able to pay attention to though. Oh my goodness. This is not something that should have happened for Gunji. He wasn't looking here, and by the time he notices, he loses like 10 gold miners. Gunji in this game lost 26 vills. And for a moment, after this cleanup, it seemed like maybe RoR could have a good shot, but Gunji is now 24 vills. That is... I mean, Mayans don't need amazing eco, but 24 vills is just nowhere close to what you need here at this stage. That was like 10 vills killed. He was probably microing his army, and by the time he noticed that he was getting slaughtered on his gold mine, it was too late. He's 4 on gold. That's just going to be a disaster for him. And the problem is that despite the fact that the pocket is pretty competitive against the other pocket, on the left flank we have Imperial Age coming in here for Viles. No imp on the horizon for Vodka. And on the right side is now going to be an easy 1v1 for Zupi. Like, Zupi doesn't need any help to destroy Gunji, because Gunji's forces will just be impossible to be replenished. No tumbling either in these crossbows just yet. Eventually it seems like RoR will clean this one up, and they have the army numbers. The only way that they stand any chance in this game is if they can actually translate these army numbers advantage into massive massacre. Like, they need to wipe out Zupi here entirely, which I don't think it's going to happen, because Zupi has free TCs protecting key resources. It looks like they might be heading towards the pocket max, but as things stand, we'll soon have arbalests for our blue player. And if you look at the other 2 players, they're also getting close to clicking into Imperial. The Viking Furiko, and especially if you look at Zupi, he's idling all 3 of his TCs. Zupi also wants to click into Imperial, and he will. Viking Furiko helps quite a bit. And keep in mind that behind this one, we are already seeing 2 relics picked up by the max. Lithuanians with 2 relics start to be really scary. So these guys already have +4 attack. And as I said, this relic hasn't even been picked up. Neither was this. It's very possible that we'll see 4 relics here for Max, who is getting ready to click into Imperial himself. So, Crossbow is now pushing in towards the base of Max. Imperial Age will be coming in as well for Vodka, but he's gonna be 3 minutes behind compared to his counterpart. And the bigger deal is, as I said, the right flank. Gunji's nowhere close to actually doing anything in this game other than using his crossbows. He has 1 TC, 32 wills, and that's basically the source of will difference right now. As I said, the only way that they can actually somehow get back into this one is if they can wipe out Max or one of the other players. Even if they wipe it out, it's going to be hard, because the thing is that with Arbalests, the Knights of Kamigawa will melt. But if they can somehow, let's say, push Max down to like 50 wills, which seems impossible, but that technically is the only thing that can actually make them win the game, then if Kamigawa gets into Imperial, he could potentially clean up the Arbs with Cavalier, but there are so many ifs in this that I just don't think that it's gonna work. 75 crossbows for Vodka. If he gets to Arbalest, those could be very, very helpful. And what happened here for... Hold on. Oh, that was a Mangonel shot. Where did this Mangonel come from? Oh my goodness. I completely missed out on this Mangonel. For a moment I thought he just deleted his crossbows because the Mangonel disappeared so fast. But no, it was Zupi landing a nuclear strike over here on top of Gunji's units. And Gunji right now sitting on at 47 to 85 KD. He's got still 25 crossbows left, but Suomi set a perfect trap. I was like, how did the Mangonel come in here? It's so far away from Zupi's base. But indeed, Zupi with the delete trick destroys what remained out of the army from Gunji. Gunji's trying his best to reboom with a 36 minutes boso, as we will have... Vodka has a lot of Arbs. Like, really the only chance that they might stand, as Max is actually showing this hole to Vodka's team, the only chance that they might have is if somehow these 80 Arbs actually start rolling, because I have to say that Vodka's gonna have more Arbs alone than Zupi and Viles combined. So that's going to be a lot of Arbalest, and they have 10 range. Obviously they don't have Thumb Ring, but they have the range advantage, and 84 Arbs, man, is devastating. Still, as things stand, you have 3 relics for Max here, and he's about to get to Imperial, and Cavalier will just have the mobility. They don't have to fight this army, they just need to stretch out the attention of the opponent, but this looks fairly intimidating, I must say. 88 Arbs with 10 range. Not something that you necessarily want to fight against, I have to say. Gunji is still playing with crossbows, but Gunji needs to find a way to Imperial and to like plus 50 more wills. He could still try to do a delay game here, just trying to make sure that Zupi is also losing a couple of wills, but look at this, Gunji just can't get over 40 wills here. He's just getting absolutely annihilated. And the thing is that RoR will not be able to sustain a 2v3 for long. They might be able to get something out of this one if they can level one of the opponents, but I think that should be potentially Viles. Because the thing is that Max's base is so well protected with defensive castle and all these TCs. The most exposed player seems to be Viles, and it looks like we'll have some latest being mixed in here by Max alongside the Knights. Cavalier just now kicking in for him. We also have Imperial Age for Kamigawa, but he's just now grabbing Cavalier. Over here, technically this monastery that now has 4 relics is somewhat exposed. The Knights could try to snap the monastery and ungarrison those relics. Kamigawa's gonna have to clean this one up, which is gonna be a challenging thing to do. It's quite a lot of Arbs around here, but it looks like Gunji is able to get some will kills here on Zupi. Just try to make sure that that will difference is not that big, as... Oh, the good old-fashioned use the Britain 10 range Arbs to take down building strategy. I love to do this as a kid. It's so satisfying using just Arbs to take down even castles. Because this castle has 9 range, these Arbs have 10, so they can technically take down this castle without any siege. Now, Paladin is already on the way for Max, and I'm not sure if this is a good fight. In fact, I know it's a bad fight for Kamigawa. He doesn't have Cavalier yet, and he's up against Lattice and Cavalier that have +6, and Blast Furnace is in 30 seconds. Kamigawa's gonna have to fight this one, but once again, they're just unable to deal enough damage to compensate for what they're actually suffering from. Beautiful heal control here for Suomi, and as I said, the only chance I see is if you can actually wipe out Vilas here, sort of to compensate for Gunji being completely dead as well, because Gunji is not gonna be a factor in the next 20 minutes or so. But if you can actually get these Cavalier into the base of Vilas and like remove 50 Vils from him, suddenly this could be great. And honestly, Vilas's army is dying here really badly. So RoR has a slim chance. It's actually a very, very slim chance because they're up against Lithuanians with 4 relics. I would say less than 5%. But there is a win condition to them. That win condition is that they need to wipe out Vilas. So it turns into a 2v2. And in that case, they might have a slight chance at edging this one out. Even then, it's going to be rough because you see Suomi is already setting up trade, something that RoR is nowhere close to doing. Gunji, 49 Vils, but I feel like he's once again going to just get annihilated here by some more Arbs. The Arbs here could technically try to take down this monastery, and especially if they see these Paladins, if they take down this monastery, they can actually take engagements against the Paladins without the Paladins having the upgrades. Now it looks like we're gonna have a big sandwich here by Max. 115 Arbs on the field for Vodka, but this is where once the Cavalier or Paladin close the distance, especially with the Arbs coming in here for Vilas, the Britain range advantage no longer matters, and it's just about pure firepower that is way better for Suomi, and RoR knows that, especially with Gunji getting annihilated. This game was mainly lost on this. Very nicely done by the Finns. They doubled Gunji, and Gunji had a hard time entire feudal age, but I think the deciding factor was losing that like 10-15 Vils in that gold mine. Because that basically meant that Gunji is not going to be a factor for a long time, and this was basically 2v3 for most of the time. These Paladins are now in with the +8, so yeah, despite the fact that I think that Vodka and Kamigawa held their own against the other side, there was just a little too much damage taken here by Gunji, and Zupi did a very, very nice job at killing Vils from his opponents. So Zupi ends the game with 64 Vils killed to only 27 lost. Very, very nicely done here by Zupi, who had, I think, a somewhat rough feudal age, but after all, he ends up doing quite a significant damage to the opponent's eco, and that helps Suomi win this one quite heavily. This is what I was referring to, I think. Where is that? This dip in Gunji's population here. That was the one where the crossbows actually got in and just annihilate his eco, and you see that Gunji was never able to build up his economy, and he was just stuck in Castle Age. Max with 1.81 KD, Zupi with 1.53. Very nicely done overall. Way better ecos for Suomi on all fronts. 4 relics as well for Max. Suomi played this one very, very clean. Nodo, thank you so much for the Prime sub. Welcome. I appreciate that a lot. So, now we will take a look at game number 2, which is going to be a subset. This is once again going to be something new for those who hasn't seen this tournament before. Basically, the second point goes to the team that wins a best of 3 of 1v1s. So now we're going to have 1v1s, 3 of them, or at least 2 of them, depending on whether or not it's an even score after 2 games. And whoever wins that best of 3 will be getting the second score of the set. So let's see who is going to play for the 2 teams. I don't see any information just yet, so I'm gonna have to check. It seems like Gunji is going to start. How are the 1v1 matchups determined? I think it is alternating order, but I don't know who starts. But basically, one team says a map and their starting player for that map, and the other one can actually react, and they alternate this, but I don't know what are the rules for selecting who is the one saying it first. And it looks like Viles will actually be playing. So, Viles versus someone. So, Suomi is potentially strongest player currently. I think in 1v1, Viles might be the strongest right now on Suomi. They bring in the big guns, and Vodka versus Max? I don't think so, because Viles is hosting a lobby. So that's why I believe that Viles is technically the player that is going to play in the first game of this one. And I would assume that if it's Vilas and it's the strongest player, you probably react with maybe Vodka. I think Vodka might be the strongest 1v1 player for RoR. Correct me if I'm wrong, but either it's Kamigawa or Vodka. So I would assume that they will be, or like one of them will be the player that actually joins in for that. But I don't see the players just yet. It looks like we're going to Atacama, by the way. So Suomi likes to play this one very, very standard. I totally agree with that. They are technically supposed to be the stronger team. So in terms of 1v1s, if you pick maps like Atacama, which are fairly standard, then once again, the Finns should have the advantage overall. Although we have to add that RoR actually won the 1v1s versus White Wolf Palace. So because of that, there's a chance we might see a bit of an upset over here. Still no sign of a second player in the lobby. In fact, AoE2 doesn't even give you this lobby, but AoE2.net does. So we're just waiting for whichever player we're going to have from RoR to join up to Vilas. And it's going to be Vilas versus Kamigawa and Atacama. This is what Ganji is telling us. So Atacama, Vilas versus Kamigawa to start with. That would probably mean something like probably Ganji versus Zupi, and then Vodka versus Max is the most likely scenario. So we're going to Atacama. Very standard map for the Finns. I would think that if you are RoR, you probably will play a much more unique or crazy map, because the thing is that if you're RoR, you need to have something special in store. If you just play standard, Suomi has better skill set overall, so you gotta bring in something special. We're just waiting for Kamigawa to join up to his opponent and get going with the next game. Yeah, the tricky thing here, going for a crazy map, so unique maps, is that Suomi in general is just very good with preparation. So if there is one team that actually did quite a bit of practice on these unique maps, that's probably Suomi. So yeah, going for crazy maps might also not be working out, because Suomi is always well prepared for events. So we'll have a blue versus yellow setup over here, and they should be launching in a matter of moments. So for Atacama, one thing that's very important is that you can't just randomly select civilizations. You have a certain preset civilization pool that you can select from. Namely, for Atacama, you can select from Aztecs, Incas, Japanese, Khmer, Mayans, Portuguese, Spanish. Multiple civilizations here could make sense. Spanish, Japanese, and Incas could be reasonable when it comes to towering in the middle, especially if you think about later game stage. Japanese could make quite a lot of sense, because you can drop cheap lumber camps on the outside early on, and if this game gets to cast stage, that's where Japanese will really get their power, I would say. Although Spanish would make more sense if you want to actually drop towers in the middle. Incas, I don't think that's going to be the case after the Inca Whale Rush was removed. But my favorite for this one would be Khmer, because the Khmer has a crazy food eco here. This is a scouts heavy map, so the fact that you can save your villagers by jumping into houses is massive with Khmer, and also, as I said, great food eco. helps quite a bit. And who am I to tell? It looks like we're having a double Aztecs play. Maybe they know something I don't, but I would have thought that Khmer seems a little bit more legitimate here. Aztecs is a great save, obviously, but if I had to choose myself, I probably would have gone for Khmer. Aztecs here will probably ensure that we're going to see archers into eagles scenario, and we will have yellow for Kamigawa in Aztecs and Vilas as well. Having that donkey profile picture for Vilas and Kamigawa getting ready for Red Bull. He's using his profile picture from the previous Red Bulls. We're going to Atacama over here. We will have on the right side Vilas as Aztecs in blue, and left side is going to be Aztecs as well for our yellow player Kamigawa. What are the differences between this Atacama and the previous versions or the other versions of Atacama? First things first, this is a slightly more volleyball map. You see that these hills over here actually help quite a bit at walling your base. If you think about it, all you have to do to wall your base is wall here. And you can also wall here, for example, and boom, you have locked down the right side of your base. So in comparison to standard Atacamas, where you don't have these little aesthetics mountains, it's much easier to wall your base. If these weren't here, it would take a lot more effort to wall your base. Relics are actually fairly evenly distributed between the players. You have one in the middle and 4 of them scattered across the outside rim. You also have little ponds here in the middle for some shorefish, but very, very limited. In fact, 1 shorefish tile per pond. I don't think these will be extremely impactful whatsoever. Starting resources are standard, but you do have llamas, apparently, instead of sheep. That should have 0 impact overall. And the other thing I'm noticing, first and foremost, that you have some cactus around your TCs as well, which are just annoying, because these actually block unit movement. As you see, they have 1 HP. But more importantly, the deer push is fairly easy. Both of the players have fairly close deer to their TCs. Mineral spawns are also interesting. There's quite a lot of stone, as you may have noticed. You see there's a primary stone here for Kamigawa, secondary stone, and another secondary stone. So there's a lot more stone on this map than normal, which I think I do not like, because that just kind of guarantees that we're going to see some sort of tower play eventually. Like, you will probably see a huge amount of tower spam with that much stone available. Still, Man-at-Arms opening is very possible right now for either of the players. So, Vilas and Kamigawa can both think about that. 4 on wood for both players. The difference, however, is that while Vilas went for the middle wood line, we will have Kamigawa with the small wood line here, and Academos subscribing for 6 months in advance. Thank you so much. That is, I think, a new sub. I appreciate that a lot, and I appreciate the trust you put in me, that you immediately sub for half a year. Thank you so much. Hopefully you will enjoy your stay here. So, for the time being, it looks like we have 2 deer being pushed in by Kamigawa. I am not 100% sure why you have deer and the llamas. They are sort of mismatched unit types. I think llamas should have ibexes, right? Or ostriches? But I think that these are mismatched species. I don't think that deer and llamas live at the same place. It's a small thing. Something to talk about in Dark Age. So, as I said, Vilas starts out with the wood line in the middle, whereas his opponent goes for a small one here. It's also worth noticing that Vilas has a huge wood line over here. That, well, you will have to replenish lumber camps eventually, because it's not super wide. So once you start chopping deeper, you will have to place new lumber camps. But other than that, it's a fairly big wood line. It's impossible to tower the back of this one. That's something to point out. In comparison to, let's say, this wood line. If Kamigawa goes here and the tower goes up here, then this wood line is gone. Whereas on the other side, this wood line seems to be impossible to tower, unless you drop a tower over here, but that seems somewhat unlikely. Barracks on the way for Vilas, indeed going for what is basically going to be, I think, a Man-at-Arms opening. Man-at-Arms most likely from the other side as well. It makes a lot of sense to just play Man-at-Arms here on this map, because you definitely have a lot of potential to hurt the opponent's wood eco. and you see that Kamigawa will spot the opponent's woodline just now. Vilas is also going forward for some scouting, and here comes the barracks for both. The timing is very, very similar here. So both players are thinking about the exact same thing. We will have a standard 22 pop feudal for our yellow player Kamigawa, and same thing here for Vilas. Exact same feudal age times will be there. And as things stand, we don't see a huge amount of voling from either player. Vilas goes for this gold mine. Over here, this is a somewhat unfortunate gold mine, because in case you get attacked, this woodline actually blocks your escape path partially. But on the bright side of things, this is actually very easy to wall. You wall here with these wood lines. It's very, very little investment, like one house here, and a bit of a palisading over here, and you have all your gold safe. So there is definitely potential to protect that one. Other side, Kamigawa is not going for any walls either, as he goes for his primary gold as well. That's a little bit more defendable if you ask me, especially because he's going to spot if anyone wants to attack that, because he's got wood lines here and here. He will see if enemies are coming this direction, and I am fairly certain that Vilas is aware of those militias. Indeed, he's keeping track of that, and it looks like he might actually stay defensive with his militias. Nope, he's moving out, and he's moving out in a way that he's walling the middle. So the idea here, as Vilas will land the first hit on the eagle of his opponent, is that he wants to be partially walled so his opponent can just counterattack, and he wants to be the one being proactive. A fourth militia is being added by both players. Extra gold from Aztecs helps quite a bit with this. So we're gonna have even a fifth militia being added here by Vilas. As I said, it's gonna be one big man-at-arms party. Woes are coming up, but that's actually a very, very low HP house, and 5 men-at-arms can get through walls very easily here, as it seems that Kamigawa is gonna be going back on the defensive. Men-at-arms in for both players, but as I said, numbers advantage seem to favor Vilas here. He's up to 5, whereas his opponent is only at 4. No eco upgrades coming in for either player, and that could be a very, very dead villager in a matter of moments, because that's a 5 men-at-arms that are willing to take that fight, and it looks like Kamigawa may have not expected these men-at-arms to hit his wood line here. That's -1 will here very easily, and another one goes down. What is happening to Kamigawa here? What is happening to him? He just lost 2 wills here so easily. Now, he also lost his eagle, whereas his opponent is apparently able to save the eagle, which is always an extremely important thing to do when it comes to like drushes or man-at-arms opening. Saving your scout can be extremely valuable, because that gives you a chance to scout the rest of the map or just explore what the opponent is doing. I think Vilas has to be satisfied with this man-at-arms opening here. Killed 2 wills, kept his scout alive and picked off the opponent's scout. That seems like a very, very fair trade to him. He's already up with a range, goes for archers. Other side will have archers as well, and there's a chance Kamigawa's gonna be able to take down that eagle, so he might be able to retaliate. Nope, not in this case. The eagle still runs away, and as I said, this is the thing that Vilas can get with this. He can just scout the rest of the map for relics, extra resources. He might even try to come back and see what Kamigawa is doing, so preserving that scout in feudal age is actually extremely important. So, now we're gonna have archers moving forward, but you take a look at Vilas's base, and Vilas's base is something I love. Look at the layout of this one. He's got a nice little lumberjacking operation here, surrounded by buildings, so it's actually pretty hard for Kamigawa to push this one. It takes so much time to walk around here, whereas in comparison, Vilas has a very easy time walking through here, through the gate, and he can hit Kamigawa's base right away. It's only 2 archers and a man-at-arms from Kamigawa, so I would think that Vilas is gonna have enough here to defend. Fletching on the way for Kami, soon as well for Vilas, although Vilas seems to be a little low on food. That is because he probably squeezed in Bidax and Horsecolor at the same time. Bidax and Horsecolor at this stage is actually a very, very decent advantage for Vilas, who now is grabbing that dead eagle. So, as things stand, because you went for Horsecolor, you can't afford your fletching. This is going to hurt a little bit for Vilas, but as I said, his base is defendable enough to justify going for this one. This is a greedier approach, But it's sort of the healthy type of a greed here for our Suomi player. Because it's not like he's gonna get punished for this one, and his eco is going to be way better than the opponent's eco here. So all of the farms with horse color, and he already has double bit axe. Other side, his opponent has 0 upgrades on his eco. And you see that even though the fletching was faster for Kamigawa, he could get 0 benefit for that. Now, he's the one adding egos, which I like, because when you play a Meso Mirror, or just any Meso Civ, against an Archer Civ, you always want to go with Ego and Archer. So, those egos will be helpful. What I'm concerned about for Kamigawa is the resource bank of his. Because, eventually, at this pace, Suomi is just going to outboom him. Because right now, Vilas is going to be full evolved. He will just sit back, chill. He already has 14 farmers as opposed to 9. And these farms will run out faster as well. Whereas Vilas could already be thinking about going into Castle Age, honestly. Because there's so little engagements happening here. As I'm talking about that one, there is one archer. Actually, that's, I think, 2 men-at-arms and no archer is dead. But still, 2 more units are being lost here by Kamigawa. And now he knows where these archers are. Skirmisher switch is happening for Kamigawa, but that's not going to help. Because, as I said, at this pace, Vilas will beat him to Castle Age. And crossbows will still melt those Feudal Age skirms. If not, then Vilas can always mix in a couple of egos to compensate. And this could be perfect timing here for Vilas' market coming in. But that's a little too late for Kamigawa there, so he's gonna have to evacuate his entire wood line. He might not lose a will here, but this is an awful lot of idle time. He's just running for his life right now. Still, these archers might end up getting picked off here by the skirms now, but currently Kamigawa's wood income is sort of non-existent. This is his only wood line, and that is still far from being well protected. He didn't go for a defensive tower, and this means that he's gonna have to keep his army here, otherwise he's gonna get this wood line pushed. And as I mentioned, it's all about that eco for Vilas. He's just content to sit back and chill here. And indeed, he's making a barracks. So, he's gonna switch into egos here. He knows that his opponent is going for 4 skirms. Technically, you can gamble on just crossbows, and considering that he's got still quite a lot of archers here, he might get the crossbow upgrade. But I would think that eventually he's gonna switch into egos, because that's what Aztecs want to do in a Meso Mirror. Still, Castle Age comes in here for him. Kamigawa, if he gets the market up, he's not gonna be that far behind, to be honest. Obviously, his eco is nowhere close to that of his opponents. But if he can destroy this army of archers, then potentially move up against the base of Vilas, there might be a small chance here. And maybe the first big mistake here for Vilas, he runs into the skirmishers. Obviously, he wasn't expecting those skirms to be there, but his archers will now go down. And this guarantees that he won't get the crossbow upgrade. Egos here from Kamigawa getting cleaned up by the archers. That's a little bit wasteful. The big deal here for Kamigawa, I would say, is that he's gonna be up against egos. As he closes the distance, he cleans up these archers. His skirmishers will almost become obsolete once he gets to Castle Age, because it's guaranteed that when you go for that many skirms, your opponent will switch into egos. I also like how Vilas is hiding these barracks. He's not dropping them as part of his wall, like over here or over here somewhere, because he wants to make sure that his opponent doesn't know that egos are coming, although I think it's somewhat predictable. He's gonna have +2 or +1/+1 by the time he gets up, and he might be able to grab +2 defense immediately. Kamigawa going for gold mining, he's also transitioning into egos, but as I said, his upgrades are way worse. So you see that he doesn't have a single upgrade on those egos. His opponent is gonna be up to Castle Age. There will soon be ego warriors pushing him. Now these skirms will cause some idle time here, but it's not gonna be something considerable. And look at the left side. This is what Vilas was prepared for. He's going to try and pick off another will here. If he had crossbowmen, this would have been easier, and it looks like he won't find that will kill. But this is just pure delay tactics here. If you can get a couple of ego kills here with those archers, and those egos don't have great pierce armor until you get the defense upgrade against these archers, then that's value here. It's actually value because it's all about the ego numbers, and the ego numbers are favoring our blue player by a massive margin, slaughtering those skirms. And Kamigawa, Just now going to grab Eagle Warrior and the +2 defense. He actually overchopped his wood line, I think, so he's gotta be careful about that one. Eventually cleans up the archers, but it's 4 eagles versus 11. Those eagle warriors already have +1, +2, whereas Kamigawa's eagles have just 1 defense upgrade. In an eagle versus eagle fight, it might even be better to just go for the attack upgrades first, as that house will come in just in time. There's a hole here as well. And more important, the gold mine is wide open. Nice quick wall over there. Eagles now coming in as well to intercept a couple of vills. I don't think they will be able to do that much, because this many eagles from our yellow player should be able to clean this one up. But the next wave is what is devastating, and as I said, there was an overchop there, and I don't think that Kamigawa has enough eagles to stop this. It's 15 to 8, and +1, +2, soon +2, +2 for our blue player compared to just +1 defense. The Eagle Warriors of Kamigawa are just no match for the ones from Villes. And remember that Villes behind this one is able to add the second town center. Kamigawa has lost 13 villas in this game, managed to kill 0, and I feel like this will just spiral out of control. It's 31 villas versus 46, and Villas will probably take a very convincing win here, because indeed, after losing all those villas, Kamigawa decides that it is not worth trying here anymore. Fairly easy win, I have to say, for Villas. Everything that he did was just... Basically, he did the exact same thing that Kamigawa did, just better. Like, way better. So Villas secures a win here for Suomi, which means that if they win the next 1v1, they get the second score of the set, and they will move to match point. Suomi is looking sharp over here. They don't want to fall to our RoR like White Wolf Palace did. Speaking of that, the winner of this set is going to play either Tempo Storm or Gamer Legion B. And I would say Tempo Storm is the favorite team over there, although Gamer Legion B might surprise them. I still believe Tempo has the upper hand. If it's a Tempo versus Suomi matchup, it's gonna be sort of a rematch of the Tuples Grand Finals, which would be interesting to see how these teams are up against each other in 3v3s. The semifinals will be next weekend, just like the Grand Finals, and I will cast all of those as well, obviously. So, as things stand, Genji was typing something, so I guess now we will see the next couple of games coming in. Will you cast Viper versus Doughty? I will probably cast Rex of that for YouTube, because it's overlapping with this set. And because of that, I feel like it is more reasonable. Like, I physically am unable to cast both of these at the same time. So what I'm gonna do is probably cast it for YouTube. That's the plan. But on the other hand, especially if this series is fast, it's very possible that we will cast Yo versus Hera in Arabia Invitational today, like live on stream. Alright, so let's see what we have. We have Villes versus Kamigawa is the last piece of information that we are having. And it looks like now it's going to be Vodka playing. So if it's Vodka, I would say this is the moment where you bring in Max, because in terms of relative skill, that might be the most reasonable thing to do. So it's going to be Vodka from one side, and the question is who's going to be the representative for Suomi. We know that the map is going to be Tar Desert, which is an interesting map overall, especially in team games, but in 1v1 it can deliver quite a lot of fun as well. One thing that was interesting to look at is that some people said that the random map selection in the map pack is something that somewhat favors Tar Desert. So we have seen a lot of random maps in the map pack, and many of those end up being Tar Desert. So apparently the random map gods like that quite a bit. So Let's see what we got. No Suomi player in the lobby just yet, so we're gonna have to wait until one of them joins up. And it's gonna be the Max, so I was right with my prediction. Max versus Vodka, we're going to Tar Desert as the home map. I would say I have no idea whose home map it is, to be honest. I'll have to read the rulebook for next weekend on the map selection rules. Let's see. 1v1's best of 3, we know that, but Liquipedia doesn't tell us what are the map selection rules for the best of 3. Who's Vodka? Vodka is the highest rated Italian player. He has been around for a couple of years. He's like a solid top 30, 35-ish player. So he's the highest rated Italian player, and he's actually pretty decent. So yeah, that's him. And let's talk about civilizations for Tar Desert. The civs that you can pick here are Indians, Saracens, Burmese, Britons, Vietnamese, Turks, Berbers. I would think that it's possible that we are seeing Indian mirrors or Berbers. Everything else, like Burmese, Saracens, not something I like. Maybe something like Britons could occur. But I think it's gonna be maybe even mirror Berbers on Tar Desert. So, let's see what we got. We don't have the game up just yet, but both players are in the lobby, and we'll have Max for blue and once again yellow for Vodka. So they will retain their previous colors, and we will be jumping into Tar Desert in a matter of moments. It's going to be a hybrid map, so that's why I'm thinking Berbers, mostly. But some alternatives is something I can imagine. Maybe Vietnamese could be one, but still, the best thing is to just look at the game, especially if they launch it up. So, we will jump into game number 2 over here as the players are getting ready to launch the game. This is a must-win for RoR, so to say, because if they lose this, then they will be down 2 games. And the thing is that game number 3 in the team games will be a random map from the map pack, so it's not like they can bring in a map that they feel confident in. On a random map, I once again favor Suomi, just because Suomi is a better all-around team. So I would think that Vodka really needs to win this one to at least give a shot for his team, namely Ganji, to beat Zupi or Rubenstock, and try to edge this out so that the scoreline in the grand scheme is even. They still haven't launched the game, so it's just a matter of years, I guess, until they get going. So yeah, let's talk about these two players here for a moment. Vodka currently is 56 on the ranked 1v1 leaderboard, so he's probably the most 1v1 focused player of all players in RoR. He's definitely a very good 1v1 player. Rank 56 is not bad, and if you think about the fact that it's 56, but there is many Smurfs in that, like, in general, multiple players have multiple players actually have Smurfs in the top 50, then that sort of means that he's about the top 40 player in 1v1s. In team games, how is he doing in team games? He's 35th on the team game leaderboard overall. So, yeah, standard victory is interesting. Vodka is a decent player, but against Max. Yeah, indeed, he's up against Max. Max is right now 21st on the leaderboard, but as I said, that leaderboard ranking doesn't necessarily matter for the top players, because the thing is that depending on how much you play, you might be able to increase your 1v1 rating quite heavily. So Max is probably better than a 21st. And also keep in mind there's a bunch of Smurfs. So like if you look at this, there is, I think that's Vivi, Hera, Leary, Viper. That's double Dogao's. So you can actually take one of these out. ACCM, Vilas, MBL. Kabosh is pretty high rated. Vinch is in there. Slam, Bacti, Yo, Bugum. That's another Kabosh. That's another Hera. So right now, max would be something like 18 if we discount the Smurfs. And I'm actually surprised that MBL Smurfs are disappearing, apparently. Because there should have been a lot more. But anyways, as I said, for these top players, the 1v1 rating is sort of a secondary thing. So Max is probably easily a top 15 player. And we have the game finally, so we can jump in here. And I was apparently very wrong about the civilizations. I thought it's going to be Berbers for Tar Desert. And the reason why... Oops, that's not the one thing I want. This is the thing I want. So the reason why we have... or I thought it's going to be Berbers is because this is how the map looks like. It's a hybrid map, fairly open, so I would think that a cavalry focus save that's actually fairly reasonable on water, like Berbers, is something that's a little bit more legitimate. Welcome to Tar Desert. We're going to have Max on the right side as blue Vietnamese, and left side is going to be Vodka in yellow Britons. I feel like this is one of those setups that if this game goes very late, then Vietnamese will hard counter Britons. So this has to be a fast game for Vodka, aggressive with the faster working Briton ranges. The map itself is fairly standard in terms of resources, but you do have some water over here that you can use for fishing. There is not a huge amount of deep fish in here though, so in 1v1 this may not be as legitimate as it is in team games. In team games it's definitely worth going for the water, especially because ships can sail this sand here as well, which means that you can actually get a couple of ships behind the base of the opponent and cut him off from these extra gold spots over here. But in 1v1 you probably just focus on land a little bit more. It's a fairly open map in general, so you have these Serengeti wood lines. So you kind of have to be aggressive on this one overall, and we will have Deer Push coming in here for Vodka. You also have a lot more limited gold than you normally would have on Arabia. So you see that you only have 5 tiles for your primary gold, 3 tiles for your secondary, and that's it. So, as I said, this should be an aggressive game for both players, which might actually favor Britons with the faster working ranges and potentially a faster feudal age coming from the sheep. But on the other hand, economically, the Vietnamese will be slightly better, and once Vietnamese get to Rattan Archers, I don't see Britons being able to stop that 4-on wood for Max, so standard archer stuff here for him, and same thing for Vodka. So, for now it seems like Vodka is having a bit of a tough time pushing in the Ibex here from this side, and he already has the first elephant in. He hasn't touched the majority of his goats yet. He's focusing on hunt exclusively. The two players are actually fairly close to each other, and both players have some very concerning hills in front of their base. This hill can easily deny this gold mine from Vodka, but what's even worse is Max's hill here. Because this hill basically allows Vodka to just camp here and deny both gold mines. And I did mention that there is limited amount of gold here, so the gold spawn for Max here is absolutely horrendous. It's a disaster. Like, how are you even going to be able to hold this one? I just don't know. So now, the Ibex will be pushed in here from the other side. I don't know if there's restarts. I'm not gonna lie, I have no idea if there's actual restarts. But even if there was, it's beyond 5 minutes, so Max wouldn't be able to call it right now at all. Can you quickly explain the structure of the tournament? It's teams, but it's always 1v1. It's not always 1v1. Basically, the way it works is that the first game is a team game. Then, by the way, I forgot to add that in here. The second score, so right now the first game, as I said, is a team game. That's why Suomi is leading 1-0. They won a 3v3. And then you get the second score in the grand set for winning a best of 3 of 1v1. So each of the members of the two teams, as we'll have a dog coming in here for Max for some extra fishing eco. So each of the players will play basically one game in these 1v1s, and whoever wins this best of 3 will get the second score of the set. Everything after is once again 3v3. So here's the deal. This dog is indeed, as Marv is saying, this is a risky play. Because it's a big investment, especially because you don't have a lot of deep fish close by. You see that this is the closest deep fish that he can take, followed up by this one and this one. So it's going to take quite a lot of time for those fishing ships to pay off. If they pay off, it's going to give you a very, very nice untouched food eco, because this is not something that Vodka knows about. Vodka doesn't anticipate his opponent having fishing ships here, and keep in mind, this is some extra food eco for yourself that's going to be completely untouched. In comparison, however, you see that the fuelage time is going to be better for Vodka, who is opening men-at-arms. Other side, the fuelage time will be delayed here by a tiny bit. Now, there's a chance that Vodka spotted, or Vodka knows about the fishing ships because he saw the wood line here. And maybe he spotted that there is way more whales on that wood line than there should have been at this stage. So you see that he still has 4 on his own wood line, and there has been 6 on this wood line for quite a while. So maybe he believes that, okay, my opponent is very heavy on wood, and that's a tower rush. That's a tower rush. That's their thing indeed. No mill. No mill for Max. And let's be honest, maybe that's the reason why Max is going for fish, because these berries are awful. In general, Max has a disaster map. Just imagine what happens if a tower goes up here. 2 gold mines, berries, and wood lines are denied. This would be the perfect tower spot here for Vodka, and I would be very much disappointed if he... well, I mean, he pushes his opponent off from wood, sure, but this could have been an even better tower spot, because you push him off from gold, and you still deny the berries. It's a matter of deciding between gold and wood, but I think that denying both gold mines is bigger, because you don't have a third gold mine, whereas there are more wood lines to fall back to. So even if this tower goes up, which is something that Max can probably see because he is actually seeing the polisade walls, but the tower is very, very late from Max. He's gonna have to evacuate his wood line, and Max is going to lose his scout here as well. Disaster. Full disaster. It looks like Man-at-Arms upgrade is not coming in for a yellow player just yet, and he's also not mining any additional stone. So this is only a single tower. In this case, I am really not a fan of dropping it over here. If you only do 1 tower, that should have been on the gold mine against an archer civ. You deny these 2 gold mines, and Max has to walk all the way back here for extra gold. You already have archers coming in that are meant to push away the gold miners though, but there's archers out there for Max. I feel like this is a bit of a wasted opportunity here for Vodka, because eventually our blue player will reclaim his wood line, but as I said, he doesn't have a tough time going back here for the other one, and he's gonna be nice and easy here with his wood income. Only 1 archer right now for Vodka, and I already see skirms being added by him, Flask Blacksmith, and he's gonna be staying on one range as well for the Max. Remember, as I said, that his fishing eco is going to help a tiny bit, but look at how far these fishing ships have to travel. I don't think that the fishing eco is worth it here for the Max. It might just be a reaction to the fact that his berries are so much on the front that it's impossible to defend. It looks like the militias won't be upgraded to men-at-arms, and for now they will just roam around the base of Max trying to find some will kills. Still, things have stabilized for Max in here, but I still believe that Vodka's position might be slightly better, although he's housed in this very moment. You see that this is just not worth it, I believe, for Max. It's extra eco, but you get the value back so slowly for Doc and the 2 fishing ships. It's just a huge amount of travel time. Even if you drop a second dock, I don't think this will actually pay for its price unless it's a very, very long scenario. And now it seems like Max knows that his food income is not going to be amazing. With those fishing ships, he will drop a mill. And the militias here will actually serve a pretty decent purpose of soaking up arrow fire. Those archers already have fletching, and they will have +1 defense soon as well. Skirmisher defense coming in for Max for the time being. Militias will try to just push that skirm away, and the big deal here for Max is going to be lack of food eco. He's got a 0 farmers, no berryvilles, no gold miners, and this is his food eco, which is obviously far from efficient. So this is a very, very good spot for Vodka to be in. I'm not gonna lie, the map for Max is awful. This is a disaster map. Front stone, front berries, front golds. Definitely far from ideal. But also Vodka is punishing him very nicely for it. So it's not just about a bad map, it's also about how well Vodka is able to use that bad map of his opponent for his advantage. So now we're gonna have some more fishing ships being added here by Max, but this is a massive gamble from Max, and I don't think that it's gonna pay off. He's trying to go for skirmisher defense and add a lot more fishing ships. He's gonna go up to something like 7-8 fishing ships, but once again, as this fishing ship is moonwalking a little bit here, I don't think that this is gonna pay for its price. There is just not enough fish to make it worth it. In contrast to the fact that you're going to have a lot of idle time on land, and if you lose vills on your wood lines, it doesn't matter that you have the fishing eco. Currently it's an 8 vills lead, which seems fairly sizable, but if you add the fact that Max's wood income is an absolute disaster, then I'm not so convinced that this is actually worth it here for our blue player. Because there's going to be a lot of idle time. He will potentially keep losing vills here on the wood lines as the HP of those vills are gradually going down. Still, Vodka needs to be careful not to lose his archers like this one, because that's quite wasteful. But he finds the vills with the militias, picks off another one, and I just feel like, as I said, the sheer amount of idle time that Max is forced upon, and remember, he doesn't have gold mine, so he's gonna have to look for another gold mine, and I think that's exactly what Vodka is looking for as well. He knows exactly that his opponent is going to have a hard time looking for gold, and Max is just trying his best to go for a fish boom. But as I said, this will only pay off in the very, very long run. And I don't think that Max has that much time. His opponent is going for his second range. But even more importantly, look at the resources for Castle Age. Vodka is getting close to clicking up to Castle. And when that happens, he's going to be able to go for a forward siege workshop. And then, if you get a forward siege workshop on this hill, I don't think Max will ever reclaim his gold mines. And he finds another one for the time being. Still has a 3 vills lead, but the idle time is a massive, massive deficit here for Max, and he just doesn't have the army to fight on land. He's 5 skirms, but okay, now he has full defense upgrades and fletching. So it's possible that we're even going to see something like knights eventually from Vodka once he gets up to Castle Age. He just needs a market to buy himself up. This is looking really good for RoR in a game that was, as I said, a must-win. They pick off a vill on the berries, and Max is just unable to establish that food eco to, like, a reliable extent. Because there's quite a lot of fishing eco here, but these fishing ships are taking shorefish, which is not super fast. This is an idle fishing ship. Max just doesn't have any reliable food eco. In contrast to Vodka, who has the berries, who also has a decent farming eco now, and he's on the way towards Castle Age. So, I would think that with Britons, you can do two things here. Just ignore the fact that you're Britons and go for knights. Or the alternative is that you use the fact that you're Britons and go for crossbows in the forward siege workshop. If you get a workshop up here, then you should be having no trouble pushing off your opponent from these gold mines permanently, and then going for the mangonel push. Max is trying to get up to Castle Age himself, goes for a galley. He probably wants to ensure that his opponent isn't docking, and his opponent won't be able to just harass that fishing eco. He might even try to get a galley in here. Remember that ships can sail this sand, so galley here could harass the opponent's eco quite heavily. That's quite a lot of skirms over here with Vietnamese HP bonus, but the hill advantage is on the side of Vodka, and he will just take those down in a fairly easy and convincing fashion. Army numbers will be way better for our yellow player in here. Vodka's not gonna go very heavy on cavalry. In fact, he only made one scout, but this leaves the window open for him to add a couple of knights against the skirms, and more importantly, he could use this scout for, guess what? Scouting. So he could use this one to find these gold miners. Instead, he finds it with an archer, and if he sends all these archers in here, Max will have nowhere to go. These archers from Vodka could potentially destroy that gold eco entirely. Here comes the forward siege workshop. It could have been a little bit more forward, because this way, if you have a siege workshop here, your opponent can never take that gold mine. This is a bit more conservative, but also guarantees that it goes up. Crossbow's going for a gold mine, and Max is even forced to go for a wood line here. This might be GG here in a couple of moments if these crossbows actually achieve their goal. Max sees this, so he knows the crossbows are coming, but hasn't reacted to it just yet. He actually made a galley, as I said, to harass the wood line of Vodka, but Vodka can use these wood lines without problems. And there is knights, there is crossbows. Castle Age is in for Max, but he's got free army. Out of that, 2 of them are ships, and 1 of them is a skirmisher. There's a defensive tower up, but, I mean, crossbows could try to camp beneath the tower. Max tries to quick wall this one, and I think this is probably where it ends. Because there is nowhere to go for these vills. Chainbarring comes in here for Max, so he wants to go for knights, but his opponent is gonna have knights as well. Max might be saved by the fact that he has a couple of knights over here, but his eco is actually not looking great here, under so much pressure, and he won't have the food eco to sustain knight production. He won't have the gold to sustain knight production, more importantly. Nice move from him to drag away the weak knight here, but still, as I said, he's capped at 2 knights. He doesn't have gold income to make more of them. It's a little bit sloppy from Vodka that he wasn't focusing down this one, but now all Vodka needs to do is just bring in his own knights to the opponent's gold mine, and Max will never be able to access gold again. Instead, it seems like he's just denying this gold mine, but now that the Mangonel pushes the wood line, the knights break in here. Max acknowledges that Vodka actually is going to win this one, and despite the fact that Vodka is lower score, and, well, we really have to mention that Max's map was awful, both of his golds being on the front. But this way, Vodka is able to get a win here, and he evens out the best of 3 subset, which means that whoever wins the next 1v1, which will be Ganji versus Zupi, or Rubenstock, we will have that getting the second score of the entire set. So, yeah, I have to say that Max's map here was absolutely awful. Double front golds, Barry is on the front. Vodka's map wasn't great either. I totally agree that this gold mine is bad. This gold mine is borderline. I think this gold mine is slightly better than what Max can work with. I don't remember where the berries were. Where is the mill at? I don't even see the... Oh, there is the mill. But if the mill is here, the berries had to be here. So indeed, it wasn't a that much better map for Vodka. I think the key difference was the fact that the 2 gold mines were separated. And also the fact that maybe Max wasn't confident going for his berries here. Because Max definitely felt like he doesn't want to go for his berries, so he went for the fish. And in the grand scheme of things, investing into the fish didn't pay off. Going for fishing eco is always a big investment, but usually on a map like 4 lakes or islands whatsoever, it pays off because you have close deep fish, so by the time you get to feudal age, investment into fishing eco pays off. Here in this one, deep fish is so far away from your docks that your investment may have never actually returned its price. And especially 8 fishing ships for Max is just useless right now, or almost useless here for Max. So, yeah, you see the food count is actually pretty close. I'm surprised. I'm actually surprised how well Max held, given the fact that he's had an awful map in this one. But still, Vodka went for a much more land-heavy aggression, and that paid off. And we will have game number 3 in this best of 3 subset coming in. It's going to be Ganji this time, and it's going to be a random map from the map pack in Mirror Civilization. So, Zupi versus Ganji in this one. I would think that this is actually winnable for RoR, because Viles versus Kamigawa was a massive skill difference in favor of Suomi. Vodka versus Max was a somewhat smaller skill difference, and I think the skill difference might even be smaller in a Zupi versus Ganji matchup, although we have to add that Ganji is not a 1v1 player, so Zupi is probably much better still at 1v1s. But as things stand, we don't have the lobby. Okay, now they're setting up the lobby, and both players are inside, so hopefully we won't have a lot of downtime in here with this. No lobby just yet, or at least that's not something I can see in the game. So Zupi versus Ganji coming in here in a matter of moments. They will have a random map from the map pack, which means we could see something that we have already seen. It could be once again Thar Desert, it once again could be Atacama, could be a completely new map. They'll be picking a mirror civilization, so it's going to be a random mirror that they play. And still no lobby just yet. So we're gonna have to wait a little bit more until they launch up the game. If RoR wins this one, then the score is dead even in the set, and I think the same scenario was there against White Wolf Palace. So against WWP, RoR lost the first game, the team game, then they were down one game, then they even lost the second game overall. No, they actually won it. Never mind. So what basically happened is that White Wolf Palace wins the team game in the first one. Then it's Rulers of Rome, White Wolf Palace, and Rulers of Rome once again in the best of 3 subset. So technically, history could repeat itself, because if RoR wins this one, they will be in the same position as they were in the set versus RoR. This is a very important game. This might be the most important game of all here for RoR. Because if they lose this one, they actually lose this 1v1 section in a very narrow fashion. And if that's the case, then, well, guess what? It's going to be a 2-0 scoreline in the favor of Suomi. So this is a close set. And if RoR wants a chance to win this one, then they have to win this. Like, this is an extremely important game for the set. They don't want to fall behind by 2 scores, especially when they have a pretty decent shot at evening things out. There is obviously an enormous difference between a 1-1 scoreline and a 2-0, especially when you have a shot at getting this to be a 1-1 scoreline. And now we will jump into game number 3 over here in this best of 3 subset. Welcome to a map I haven't seen a single time in this tournament so far. And we'll have a Korean mirrors. I don't know what exactly this map is called, but it kind of feels like a valley here. Maybe Death Valley or something like that. It could be the name. Anyways, we will have right side red for Zupi in Koreans, and we also have Koreans because it's a mirror civilization matchup for Ganji in blue. Let's talk about the wood lines. As you see, just like in the case of Atacama, you have very, very limited starting wood back at home, and you will have to chop wood here in the middle. I think this dark patch is something that you cannot build upon, so you can't just drop towers in here. But speaking of Koreans and towers and resource control, this could be something to consider. That we could see a huge amount of towers here overall. You have a huge amount of huntables at the back of your base. Let's just say an excessive amount of huntables. To put it into context, this map has exactly 42 zebras on the right side, and on the left side, you have 42 zebras as well. So a total of 84 zebras can be found on this map. More or less scattered, but they have bigger patches of like 6, 7 or so. So theoretically, it's possible that you actually want to mill this one at some point. Huge amount of stone and gold is present at the back of the player's bases, but you also have a fairly decent amount of starting gold, but you don't have starting stone. So if you want to grab stone, you have to go all the way back here. In terms of map layouts, Zoopy is going to start with a wood line back at home in the smaller ones. He's got a back gold, and this gold is not so great. This one is pretty decent. Double elephants, berries being relatively safe. Other side, Gunji has a comparable map, I would say. So, no issues with either map whatsoever. Both players starting off in these small wood lines because it would take quite a lot of time to walk out here. And both of them are 4 on wood, so I would think that it's going to be sort of an archer mirror for the time being. No player actually opening with scouts here. Obviously with Koreans you don't want to open scouts, but you still gotta consider that this is a very open map. So because of that, a scouts opening might still be something that works out. It looks like Ganji is going to take some damage on his scout at the beginning. He cannot lame sheep. This is extremely important. Any kind of laming is disallowed in this tournament, including sheep laming as well. So even if Ganji actually was able to steal those sheep, he's not allowed to do so. But he runs into the opponent's TC fire, loses quite a lot of HP on that scout. Coming in with an early barracks, this is going to be a pre-milled rush here from Ganji. Other side, it very much seems like we'll just have a standard mill being dropped here by Zoopy. The question is, will Zoopy spot that barracks? Because if he will probably just wall his Berryvilles, and he should be alright. Okay, so we're gonna have the pre-milled rush coming in here. Zoopy is going to spot this, and let's see his reaction. His reaction should be walling in these Berryvilles, basically immediately. He did some deer pushing close to his TC, but not an awful lot. In comparison, I like this more from Ganji, and honestly, I would have maybe even considered dropping a mill here instead of the berries. The berries give you a much more consistent food income because you drop off after every 10 food that you gathered. But the deer is actually a much faster food income, so I think I like Ganji's idea here a little bit better. You have to force drop off the food quite often, but I think that this is actually a better mail spot than the one on the berries, and you can still make one on the berries later on. Rush coming in here, as it looks like Zoopy is going to drop a second lumber camp here in the wood line. This could be a perfect time for Ganji to find a veil kill. I think Ganji is expecting his opponent to go for that wood line, and this is going to be extremely important. Because this way, Zoopy can drop his second lumber camp. In fact, a villager might actually get blocked in here. The scout HP is lower for our blue player, but there is 3 militias joining the fun, and I think that this rush is already accomplishing its goal. It's actually delaying Zoopy quite heavily, denying a second lumber camp. And it very much seems like Zoopy wanted to go for a Man-at-Arms opening, but you see he's up to 23 vills. So this is going to be a fairly delayed Man-at-Arms opening. In this one goes for 2 on gold, but you see that he doesn't have a good second wood line. So he's forced to take straggler trees. Zoopy's eco isn't amazing over here. This rush isn't killing vills, but it's causing quite a lot of delay to Zoopy's eco, and that's exactly what is going to happen. Other side, Ganji is just now clicking up. This is a fairly fast rush archer, 23 vills, but he has had a lot of huntables, so this might be something that he can pull off. Ganji is actually playing fairly open though, that's something that needs to be considered, but his food eco is going to be slightly better than that of his opponents, because you see Zoopy is 7 on berries, and a lot of these are idled quite heavily, and both players need to be very careful not to lose their own scout. And now, Zoopy actually is going to lose his scout. Beautiful micro there from Ganji. Zoopy had the faster scout because he was faster to Lage, but nice turnaround from Ganji, and he's gonna be able to kill that scout. In exchange, though, Zupi's men-at-arms will hit the field, and it very much seems like Zupi is gonna be able to do quite a lot of damage here, because Ganji was sort of underestimating the importance of this one. He's gonna have to fall back and wall his other wood line more importantly. So both of these early aggressive plays actually pay off quite nicely for the players. Still, I believe that because of the fact that Ganji actually had the 33 seconds the shadow time in comparison to just 7, I think Zupi might actually have a better start here by a narrow margin. You still gotta be careful if you are Ganji here, but he reacts nicely to the man-at-arms. And luckily for Ganji, Zupi doesn't know where his gold mine is at. This is extremely important. If Zupi knew about this gold mine, he would be going this way, and I have to say I'm somewhat disappointed on how little Ganji is investing into walling this one. Even just the wall here would prevent those men-at-arms from rushing onto that gold mine. Now that the archer ranges are out, the men-at-arms will actually die, and the thing is that they will at least be able to take down a lumber camp, which is some value here. And you have to keep in mind that Zupi invested more into this infantry opening. He had to make the free militias and the men-at-arms upgrade, whereas his opponent never made the men-at-arms upgrade, so that investment might be slightly paying off better for Ganji, because he didn't have to invest that much into getting comparable results. No villagers was lost in the first couple of minutes. Korean archers will actually have the defense upgrade by default, and it looks like the Veils will also join the party just to make sure that the man-at-arms can't rush down the archers. Now, this is an ambitious move here from Ganji, because it's not like he has the army numbers advantage from or for a chance to grab this wood line. It looks like he's gonna go for it though, and he will be able to secure it for the time being. He's going archer and skirm, but he's definitely going for a more defensive playstyle. For now, the men-at-arms will go down, but it looks like both sides are mixing in quite a significant amount of skirmishers. Still, it's actually very, very risky for Ganji to have this wood line being chopped. In comparison, Zupi's got a completely untouched wood line overall. Other side, there's also an idol here for Ganji that may be hard to spot because of the silhouette being hidden by the palisade wall, but the exclamation mark tells you that that is actually the case. A defensive tower comes in here for Ganji, which I think is something I can justify, although at this rate it would have been better to just move out here to this wood line and make the defensive tower over there, and that's gonna be a disaster for Ganji in a very important game. Oh my goodness. That's a massive disaster. Tower is gonna go up, but that's the first will kill of the game. That tower either should have gotten up a little faster, as that's going to be potentially a second will that gets picked off. That tower either needs to go up a lot faster, or just completely ignore the wood line that you won't be able to defend. It very much seemed like Ganji believed he's going to be able to defend it, but that wasn't the case. And he doesn't have good wood lines on the left side, I'm not gonna lie. But it would have been maybe even better if he knows that his opponent is attacking from the right side, to just get the villas out here, make a tower, and just take this wood line instead. Fletching now coming in for our blue player, 6 archers, 2 skirms only, whereas Zupi is going heavy on the skirmishers. There will be a counterattack from Ganji, so he knows he's behind. He knows that, okay, he needs to get some sort of counter damage done here. Nice move to pick off the archer, and that means that these skirmishers won't be able to do that much damage. If these 4 archers can actually hit Ganji's gold mine or wood line here, this could be jackpot. But that's the only chance that Ganji is going to be able to retaliate for the losses that he suffered from previously. Both players have even upgrades on those archers. Double bit axe is in for both, but no horse color on either side. Keep in mind that Ganji keeps milling these deer. And now that's something that Zupi started to do as well. In fact, Zupi is very, very heavy on the mills. In general, he's got a huge food eco, as now he's going to find the gold mine here from Ganji. He might try to take the hill and force this engagement to happen. Archer is now coming in, so Zupi could be losing a couple of veils, but this is going to be tough. This is going to be very tough for Ganji to defend. He doesn't have stone for another defensive tower, so what Ganji is going to try is loop around, try to take the hill here. And he is hitting the wood line of the opponent, but the thing is that he's distracted microing his units here, which means that he's just going to attack the blacksmith and tell Zupi, hey, I'm here. Also, a couple of archers moving on the left side from Zupi to harass the berry villagers. No one is going to be lost in that engagement though, so that's actually some good news for Gunji. And now Gunji forces off the opponent from his only gold mine. Bit of a value for those archers, but not an awful lot. He still wasn't able to compensate for the 2 villagers lost in this fight. And also, right now it's only 5 hunters for Gunji, in comparison to 7 and potentially more hunters in the future for our red players. So the food income for Zupi is also slightly better. He's going to sound a retreat, because I think he actually wants to click up into Castle Age here. There's a chance Gunji will think about that as well, like trying to build on the fact that he may have invested a little less into his army than his opponent did, so just try to buy himself up to Castle Age. And Zupi is not on gold right now. He's gonna go back, that's not an issue, but that is going to delay his Castle Age time a tiny bit, but indeed he's going for that. Look at that. That's the hunt power for you. All these huntables now paying off here for Zupi as he's dropping off the food. And he should be on his way to Castle Age in the next couple of moments. Whereas for Gunji, he actually wants to play this one a little bit more aggressively in Feudal. Goes for scouts, but I feel like scouts at this stage is a little too late. Because by the time those scouts actually start to have effect on the battle, you will see Castle Age coming in for Zupi. Zupi actually grabs Horse Color first, but he already queued up Castle Age. And if Gunji spotted the score of his opponent drop, then he might know that Zupi is going up. He's not impossibly far away either. He needs to buy himself up, sure, but he could technically do that. The big question now for Zupi is that he's up against a couple of scouts and skirms. So technically, this force could push him off from his wood line, and that would cost quite a lot of idle time overall. We have Stable coming in here for Zupi, so he wants to switch into Knights. A market is now must-have for Gunji. He's getting that up just now. He's gonna be about a minute or so behind in Castle Age time. The problem for Gunji here is that his map is so open that 1 minute behind in Castle Age timing will mean that he will get overrun by Knights. And also the heal advantage here is on the side of Zupi, so he should be able to hold his wood line. Although, as I said, quite a lot of harassment could be done here, as random straggler skirmishers are getting picked off by scouts. Nice moves here still from Gunji to harass this wood line, but an army that's almost exclusively skirmishers won't accomplish much. 4 on stone for Gunji, so he wants to actually make additional TCs upon hitting Castle Age. But as I said, that's a minute and a half difference into Castle, and now the scouts are out as well for Zupi. I think Gunji saw the stable, so he should know that his opponent is going to mix in scouts and, more importantly, knights. And I think that the base of Gunji is so open that the first couple of knights might be enough to finish the game. So, first to Castle Age could win the game here, and that very much seems like it's going to be Zupi. You also see that you're going to have elite skirms, actually, for our red player. He has quite a lot of skirms out, and Knight and Elite Skirm could work, especially when the Knights don't have any good upgrades, and those Elite Skirms are heading straight to the gold mine of Gunji. That looks really grim for him in a decider game, and I think we're marching closer and closer to Suomi winning this best of 3 here, and that would result in a 2-0 scoreline. Now the Elite Skirms start to be a lot more threatening than normal Skirms were, so another wheel goes down for Gunji. 25 army versus 12. And Nimano with the Vinland. Thank you so much for the 8 months of resub. Welcome back. Siege Workshop is coming in, but Siege Workshop won't actually help you against the initial knights that are coming. The good news is that you have guard towers. So if you are able to get a guard tower in here on the gold mine, that's going to hold against knights that don't have any defense upgrades. That is the only thing that could potentially drag this out for Gunji. But Gunji needs some sort of momentum, like one enormous win in a small fight could be important. There is 2 defensive towers on this wood line, so you can fit most of your vills in it. As the Mangonel is now coming in, Knights on the way as well. Some of the vills will die, but that's a sacrifice that we're willing to take. That is what Gunji is saying, and indeed, some of the vills go down here. He is now down by 7 vills compared to his opponent. Mangonel pops out, nice ground attack there by Gunji, and remember, these knights don't actually have good upgrades on them, so beautiful ground attack from Gunji, actually. This was very nicely done. He still doesn't have an answer to Knights though. TC Fire helps quite a bit because these Knights have just +1 defense. No bloodlines even. So, is Gunji thinking about potentially castle? Oh, he moves in with a couple of crossbows. And he forces quite a lot of villagers to go idle here. There was only one wheel being killed, but this is the type of counterattack that Gunji needs, and that's quite a lot of crossbows. So if he can actually get a couple of wheel kills here, suddenly things could actually start moving in the right direction for Gunji. This is still going to be an uphill's battle no matter what, but in the last couple of minutes, his defense has been pretty decent, and I feel like if Zupi overinvests into knights, it's possible that Gunji is just gonna go heavy on stone, and indeed he's, nope, he's selling stone. So Gunji's not gonna go for war wagons anytime soon. Eventually you want to get to war wagons, but the first thing for Gunji would be a TC on the gold mine. He needs a TC to protect that gold mine, otherwise he will just keep getting overrun. So he's still mining stone very, very heavily, as Zupi has given up on getting some food from the hunt, and oh, that's a disaster for Gunji. Oh my goodness. Things like this is not something that you can ever afford. You were already behind by quite a lot of wheels. You lose 2 more to a knight. I just don't understand how is it possible. Well, Gunji doesn't have the wood for it, but just a defensive guard tower even could have helped so much. He had the stone for that. And losing so many wheels is not something that you can afford. Like, this defensive tower should have been up 2 minutes ago. Because now Knight is coming in to bash down wheels, and once again you might end up losing 1 wheel. And these sort of 1-2 wheels being lost things add up over time. Elite Skirm's now diving in as well. And now it looks like Mangonel plus Crossbow is the name of the game in the middle of the map for Gunji. He tries his best to push off Zupi from his wood line, but it's 14 villagers killed as compared to just 1. The problem for Gunji is that he's idling the opponent's eco, but he's not killing it. Whereas Zupi just keeps killing his economy. So now we're talking about a 20 wheels lead, and we're getting closer and closer to the main, where it seems next to impossible to come back into this one. Because the more I'm looking at this one, the more advantage Zupi is able to grab. And the more advantage he has, it's going to be harder and harder for our blue player to recover. Zupi, beautiful move here, popping out the knight to jump on the Mangonel. And yeah, Zupi's economy is in ruins, so to say. Unless these crossbows kill 15 wheels here, I see Zupi's, or I see Gunji's chances being less than 5%. Still, oh, Mangonel is here. Nope, not happening. Every single thing that happens in this game is just going better for Zupi. They are sort of doing the exact same things, and indeed Gunji taps out. And with that, Suomi takes game number 3 in this best of 3. Oops. But what's most important is that there was a chance here for RoR to win a close second set, and that would have been a 1-1 scoreline. The problem that they are facing right now is that now it's a 2-0 scoreline, and it's going to be match point in the favor of Suomi here. And the thing is that obviously this setting, like random mirror civilization on a random map, is not something that favors Gunji here, because, you know, in a mirror civilization I prefer the Suomi players. And also, keep in mind that Gunji is not a 1v1 player, so Zupi was the favored one in this engagement. I just feel like there were some questionable decisions from Gunji, like moving out to this wood line is something I massively disliked, and it was too risky for him to pull off. He was beaten to Castle Age really badly. That was the big deal here, so being beaten to Castle Age by that much, and overall Zupi just had a much cleaner game here, so whatever fight he took, that was more efficient, 1.24 KD. Economy was much better in the long run, but you see, this is just what I was referring to. There wasn't any enormous disaster for Gunji, it was just a slow grind, and you see that slow and steady, he was winning small fight after small fight versus Ganji, and Ganji just slowly get grinded down here to a point where he just fell behind so much. So, with that, now we're going to the team game session once again, and it is going to be game number 3, which is random map from the map pack with hidden free pick civilizations, but no repeat from game number 1. So Suomi can pick the civilizations that they used in the first one. I think it was Vikings. It was Vikings, Ethiopians, Lithuanians. Those will not be available for Suomi. Versus Mayans, Britons, and Franks. So I think this is the time for Lithuanians for RoR. And this is the time for potentially Ethiopians and maybe Vikings. Whereas Britons will definitely be in the mix for Suomi, alongside possibly Franks, maybe Persians is the idea. So, let's see if they are setting up the game right now. Indeed, they do. Ganji, Kamigawa, and the Vodka are already in the lobby alongside the Viles, and we're just waiting for the other two Finns to show up. If the Finns win this, they move into the semifinals next weekend to fight against either Tempo Storm or Game Legion B. So either Nilly, Doubt, and Slam, or Hera, Leary, and Hart will be the ones. So yeah, that's basically the scenario right now. Okay, so let's see if we have a game or not. Yes, we have all players in here. Warm colors will once again belong to RoR, and cold colors will go for Suomi. Max will be playing Pocket as always, and Viles and Rubenstock will be flanks. First time we're seeing Rubenstock in the set, by the way. So far it was always Max, Viles, Zupi. Now it's going to be Max, Vilas, and Rubenstock. And the players are getting ready, so we will jump into game number 3 here in a matter of moments. From this point on, this is just like any standard team game tournament. You're going to have 3v3s. This time it's going to be a random map from the map pack, which scares me a little bit. And indeed, Persians is still available for Suomi, so technically Rubenstock can be the one that plays Persian flank for some TC drops. If they actually had a map that they can select, I could totally see that chaos being caused by Suomi. All right. The game is up, so wait a second. This is not the game. It's just a bugged game. Are they... Oh, they haven't launched it yet. Never mind. Never mind. Still, we'll be moving into the next game in a matter of moments. If Suomi wins this one, then they win the entire set and GG's. Going into the semifinals, obviously, if RoR is able to win, then you are gonna have a lot longer set. Okay, so let's see if we have a game or not. I hope that they launched it, and it seems like they did. So we're going into game number 3 here. Back to team game territory we go. It's going to be hard for me because the thing I noticed with this tournament is that it is much harder to cast a 3v3 than a 1v1. I know that already. But when you have a 3v3, then you have 3 1v1s, your brain slows down a little bit. So it's hard to get back to the pace of team games. But we're going into game number 4 here. We will go with Saracen's Flank for Gunji. Interesting civilization choice, but it's a nice buff to the archers on the other side as well. Ethiopians will be the civ for Vodka. And we will continue once we actually get capture age rolling. So I'll have to reset the scores. And it looks like... Is this a restart? GG, well played? No. What happened here? I think the Finns may have crashed. It very much seems like they may have crashed because loading screen was quite long. This actually gives me time to edit the names. Yeah, Villas crashed. Okay. In this case, they won't actually re-roll the map. And we will do this map, which is actually my favorite map of the map pack. This is the winner of the community map making contest for the event. It's called PAG. And you have a flank, a pocket, and an Omega pocket in this one. This is one of those maps where Rubenstock douching could be something, but because it's a game crash, you will have to play the exact same civilization and the exact same map. So because of that, we will have the exact same lineup. And while they're rehosting it, let's analyze this one. We will have Rubenstock is blue flank in Britons, pocket is Max in green, and Omega pocket is Villas's Mayans. Other side, it's Saracen Omega pocket for Gunji. We will have Kamigawa's Lithuanian's pocket in yellow, and Vodka is going to be playing in red as Ethiopian flank. So the thing is that on this map, you can actually wall yourself, and that's probably the best idea. Wall the middle, and then potentially transport ship scouts or something like that. The thing is that I don't necessarily like the Franks pick here for Max, because as I said, there is a possibility in the random map pack that you actually get a hybrid map, so I think Persians would have been more legitimate. Lithuanians is an absolutely great civilization here, so you can drop that early dock, you can go for some fishing. All the relics are on the left side, so if the Lithuanian player lands here and drops a monastery to pick all those up, then he could have 5 relics very easily, so that's how it works. Most of the stone and gold is on the left side here. You can only get here by transport ships. Right side, most of the wood is over there, but you can walk here on these shallows. So yeah, both sides have quite a decent amount of fish, so you will expect the players to go quite a lot of fishing. Alright, let's see if they launched up the replay. And we will be going into PAG. Okay. We good? I think we might be good. Yeah, we're good. Alright. The game still says map pack. However, now it's going to be PAG. So, welcome to the archipelago of PAG. All of these are actual real life locations. This is why it's World Desert Championship. So, this one, I could Google what this place is or where exactly it is, but anyways, we'll have RoR on the south with Gunji playing Saracen's flank. This is extremely important though, because this is a different setting than what we have seen before. The thing is that apparently it's not fixed position, so previous game, Gunji was the Omega pocket with Saracens, and this time, Gunji is the flank with Saracens in red, Kamigawa is yellow pocket in Lithuanians, and the Omega pocket is going to be Vodka in purple. Other side, Rubenstock is playing blue Britain's flank. We will have Frank's Pocket for Max in green, and Vilas will be Omega Pocket in teal. I'm actually going to, let's see, Archipelago of Pag. Pag Island. Pag is a Croatian island in the northern Adriatic Sea. It is the 5th largest island of the Croatian coast and the one with the longest coastline. In the 2011 census, the population of the island was 9,059. There are 2 towns on the island, Pag and Novaya, as well as many smaller villages and tourist places. Pag is the only Croatian island that administratively is divided between 2 countries. Its northern part belongs to Lika Senj County, while its central and southern part belongs to Zadar County. So, yeah, that was the educational thing. And what do we have here? Restart? Restart? Seems like it's gonna be a restart. Because at 324, I don't necessarily see any other reason of doing so. I mean, Gunji lost quite a lot of HP on this scout, that's totally true. And, yeah, Gunji said they called a restart. So, previously it wasn't a restart, it was just a game crash. That's why they had to replay it. This time, RoR calls a restart. And that means that, I assume that they have to play Pag once again. They can't just flip around with the maps. So why did they call a restart? Probably because the gold is on the front for Gunji, and that's pretty devastating. You also have a hill in front of it, which makes it even harder. And you also had Gunji losing HP on his scout, so this start wasn't great for him by any means. It very much seems like we have an early dog coming in for Kamigawa, so he's gonna go for a fast dog strategy, as expected. Alright, so in this case, let's try getting into the next game. How many restarts can they do? I think 1 at maximum. The previous one was a different thing, because it was a game crash from Vilas, so they had to sort of restart it. So to say, like, they're still hosting the map pack with map pack though. That's what I'm confused at. I would think that they have to play the exact same map, yet what I'm seeing is that they're using the map pack, and what the map pack means when you select it in game is that you will get a random map from it, and okay, now, as I said, I'm not actually that much involved in the rules. But it seems like if you call a restart in the map pack maps, you are eligible to go for a different random map. So forget about Archipelago of Pag, which I think would have favored RoR probably the most, because that's a quite cheesy map. It looks like this is gonna be the map we play. I don't know if this is actually the way that they're supposed to do it. As I said, I didn't have time to read through the entire rulebook. In my interpretation, that's not the way it should work, because, okay, you go for a random map, but if you call a restart, you should play the same map. So, I guess I'm just gonna read the caster's Discord to see if this is intended, or this is something that the players misinterpreted. Anyways, we will have a different map over here, something that favors the strengths of Suomi a lot more, to be honest. It's a slower paced map, a lot of macro orientated, and we will have Suomi on the right side as cold colors. Flank will be Rubenstock as Britons in blue. Vilas will be playing teal Mayans, and Pocket is going to be Max in green. Other side, Saracens flank for Gunji in red. We will have Vodka as purple Ethiopians, and Pocket is going to be yellow Kamigawa in Lithuanians. One of the reasons... Oh, that's why. Look at what Kamigawa is doing. He's going for a pre-meal rush. Let's talk about this. Okay, this is extremely important. First of all, he's going to bump into a bunch of Komodo lizards. But this is why Lithuanians can be so good here, and I like this game plan quite a bit. So each player starts with a bunch of villas here, and their goats are actually here. So basically, this fence is like a palisade wall, but only 1 HP. You can actually get through this wall very easily, and if you do that, you can potentially get a couple of wheel kills, because these wheels are very unlikely to have loom, although I don't think this is gonna work for Kamigawa. Because here's the deal, most of these militias are dead, and Kamigawa will actually bump into the Mayan player. If he actually gets to the other player that doesn't have loom, this would have been more efficient, but these are like half-dead militias, and these villas already have loom, and you can't lame sheep. If laming was allowed, you could just run in with the militia and kill the sheep. But these militias will not do anything here, so this overall premium rush is not working. So the way that this map works is that you don't have a lot of food on the outside, namely herdables. You have all of them here in the middle, and you have to actually start taking these. Later on, you will transition these villas to either be lumberjacks here and chop to the outside, or go for gold mining. A map is a little bit like Gold Rush, so you have a huge amount of gold in the middle. Other than that, we have a fairly peaceful start. Gunji is not actually going to wall his entire team here. He will just do some walls with himself. I think this map is definitely suitable for team walls, though. You have to do quite a bit of walling here, but you can secure the map control with it very nicely overall. So you can even control the corners, which could be helpful, because... oh, the bullying! I feel like Kamigawa's getting bullied here. Oh, feels bad. Feels bad. Now, the good news here for Kamigawa is that this way these villagers are unable to access this goat. But that's basically all. Look at this little... this little pen of... goats over here. And honestly... oh, there's a hole. There's a hole here, and this wheel doesn't have loom, but Max doesn't care. Max actually has to fight this Komodo lizard, and the lizard gets the lady. Oh my goodness. Oh. It's the lizard that actually gets the kill, not the militia. And honestly, on this map, it's actually probably better to just go for like one militia drush. Speaking of lizards, apparently this is something that Kamigawa also has some trouble with. I think what you could do on this map is make one militia, delete the fence, and then gather all the lizards and bring them into the opponent's base. Because what can your opponent do against like 15 Komodo lizards without loom, right? I actually think that that would be a little bit more legitimate. What the hell did you just tune into? I wish I knew. It's going to be an absolute chaos. Alright, walls are up for Gunji. One thing I want to highlight is that Saracen's team bonus against buildings actually means that you can go for some very, very aggressive archer plays here and get through early walls of the opponent, both with yourself, but the opponent or the other flank as well. So the ETO player Vodka will also benefit from the Saracen team bonus of getting through walls easier. And it very much seems like we're gonna have a tight build here for Gunji, and it's possible he will do an archer range here in the middle. I think a fast feudal archer range play here in the middle might be the best solution, because this way you can kill your opponent's villas very easily and they have nowhere to go, right? So a couple of archers could actually cause quite a lot of chaos, as you see that both Rubenstock and Villas already started working towards chopping those villas outside. Drush coming in here from Rubenstock. So let's see if this can accomplish anything. It looks like the scout of Gunji is already heavily damaged. The quick walls are a little slow here, but they will be just in time to keep those militias out. Archers coming in for Gunji. He's going for a super, super small base here. Like, this is the definition of a small base. Admin win for Suomi because militia killed a sheep. Not my tournament, so I don't know. I don't know if the militia actually killed a sheep or not. I didn't see that, but yeah, I guess it's the admin's job to do. I will just keep casting until I'm told otherwise. That's probably the best thing to do. So team votes are coming up here for Rubenstock. I like this quite a bit. So this is exactly how I think this map is meant to be played. Oh, there is Zupi. Zupi's like, yeah. I don't think that Kamigawa's team would ask for an admin loss here. Speaking of that, Vodka picks up a wheel from Viles here to start the day with. And it looks like the Finns will not be bothered by the fact that they lost one sheep over there. So, Archer is now out for Ganji. He should have no trouble cleaning up this rush from Rubenstock. Rubenstock is almost fully walled here. And the thing is that once these team walls are up, it's going to be no trouble for him to defend his base against Ganji. Whereas Ganji's gold mine is going to be very exposed to archers, so it's going to be a tough one to have. Speaking of that, you see that Ganji is just now dropping a mill on his berries. He went for a very, very fast fuel H here with Saracens. Team walls are coming up on the right side by Vodka, nice and easy, all the way to the edge of the map. And in the middle, everything seems to be peaceful. No one actually bothers killing the others. So, scouts scuffling here a little bit. This is something that Rubenstock could use his archer to help in. And Kamigawa apparently not paying attention. He's about to lose that scout. That was a little sloppy from Kamigawa over there. And have I mentioned that this gold mine is awful for Ganji? It is. This is why I'm always saying that you can only vote like this using your gold mine if you're up against scout civs. Against archer civs, that's not gonna work because your opponent can deny this gold mine very, very easily. It looks like we'll have some team walls behind Vilas's base here, so they won't secure this corner, although the middle has so much gold that you might not need that corner for trade. We're looking into a fast castle from both pockets, by the way, something that we haven't talked about. Basically, Kamigawa is going for a Drush FC style play here. It was a 2 militia Drush from Lithuanians, followed by a fast castle. Other side, Max is just going for a vanilla fast castle over here with Franks, probably into 3 TCs. Right now, the villager count is slightly better for RoR. They picked off 1 will from Vilas, I believe. The rest of the players should be all good. Indeed, Vilas lost 1 will. Max actually lost 2 wills, but those 2 wills were here in the middle, to the lizard. Bit of an archer scuffle here. Obviously, Britain faster working ranges here will help quite a bit for Rubenstock to contain this one. But one thing that you have to be careful about is that Saracens could use that market very heavily. So, in fact, you already see Ganji stole his stone. So, it's possible that if this game goes a little bit more passive, Ganji will just go for a market heavy play here, buy himself up to Castle Age and try to just beat Rubenstock into castle, get through the walls with the Saracen archers and start killing Vils. Other side, it looks like Vilas will be safe until the walls go up. And anything else? It seems like we'll just have Castle Age in for Max. Adding a stable, and he's gonna go for knights. And he will TC the middle as well, so he wants to expand in the middle, secure some ground. Other side, we'll see what Kamigawa has on his mind, but he could think about something very similar. Overall. So now, here come the archers from Rubenstock. It very much seems like Kamigawa is thinking about clicking up now with those resources, especially in using Saracen Market. He's got only fletching, and his opponent doesn't have armor either. But he lost 1 wheel here to the Britain archers, so that's definitely a bit of an advantage there for Rubenstock. Indeed, Ganji already working towards buying himself up to castle here. And if that happens, he's gonna be able to beat Rubenstock to castle by a massive margin. And the early crossbows could potentially snowball the game very, very easily here. Because Rubenstock will have no answer to them. Rubenstock wisely starting to stonewall himself. But he needs to stonewall every single tile, because houses will also melt to Saracen crossbows very easily. Castle Age coming in here for Vilas. As basically at the same time compared to Ganji. It's a very, very nice Castle Age time from Vilas. And Vodka should click up soon as well. The last player to Castle Age will be Rubenstock, so he was actually delayed quite heavily over here. And here come the Knights, joined by the Komodo Lizards, to try and push away Kamigawa from this position. Kamigawa for now will just quick wall and try to chop himself outside. He actually hasn't finished chopping out. He needs to take this tree down in order to be able to get out. But after that, actually, does he need to take it down? I don't think so, actually. Yeah, there is a hole here. So Kamigawa could actually retreat if he wanted to. I think he just wants to wait until he has knights out to open up that wall. Keep in mind there is one relic over here, one relic over here, and one relic over here. 3 relics are almost guaranteed for our Lithuanian player over here, whereas on the other side, those Frankish cavalry will always just be basically Frankish cavalry. So, house walls being added here as well by Vodka, who is also going up to Castle Age. Last to castle will be him. Rubenstock beats him by a small margin. And it very much seems like Rubenstock is just gonna go for a full stone walls. He knows exactly he's up against Saracens. This is the weak spot right now on the wall. Ganji will move out to the crossbows in a matter of seconds, as these knights are unable to find any will kills. Right now, RoR is behind by 10 wills, but yeah, honestly, that mostly comes from... where is this will difference even coming from? It feels like just small differences between the players. It's not like one player has a massive boom on Suomi's side. You have 2 TCs for Max, they will be free for Kamigawa in a matter of moments, and now these Saracen crossbows are coming in with ballistics missing. And for now, Vodka's gonna have to go for a stone wall here to prevent those knights from bashing their way in. Crossbows coming in here from Vilas, and these are the sources of those small villager differences. 1 or 2 wills killed from either side is what actually starts deciding things. Crossbows not in just yet for our purple player because he's still in feudal. 30 seconds away from Castle Age he is. And let's see what Ganji can do to get through these walls. These stone walls are still melting pretty fast to the Saracen crossbows, but they buy just enough time for Rubenstock to get into Castle Age. And now he's gonna have the Briton range advantage, so the Saracen player can no longer use that power spike that he was meant to be using. And what is this even? Max is bringing a monk to convert these wills. Oh, just Max things. Max is actually bringing a monk to get a conversion here. Let's see, right side, it looks like Vodka is going to try and move out with the archers with knight support. Currently, it's 32 crossbows versus 33, so it's very, very close on both sides. Vilas going for ballistics already, and we're going to see ballistics coming in as well for Vodka. Second TC on the way for Ganji. And it very much seems like these crossbows will be heading in here. And if they can take an open field engagement, that's going to favor Britons by a massive margin. They can just hit and run exactly what they're doing right now. And after that, they can just push through here and push towards the pocket. 3 TCs up for both pocket players, second TC up for Vilas as well. But Suomi is the only team that's actually like actively contesting the middle, and this is what I was referring to. The Briton range advantage is massive here, and they can just pick off those crossbows from a distance. The thing is that the only way that you beat these Briton crossbows here is if you have knight support from the pocket. Speaking of the pocket, in yellow, there is 0 relics right now for Kamigawa for his Lithuanian knights, and he's mostly focused on the right side, which means that Ganji could get overrun really, really easily here. On the left side, Kamigawa was actually booming very greedily. Look at this. Just now coming in with bloodlines and scale botting. And this could be very disastrous, to be honest, for RoR. Because if you think about that, Ganji is going to get pushed off from his wood line here. And we're looking into like a 10-15 knights soon from Max that would have bloodlines, well, it's not really bloodlines, but the equivalent from Franks. +1 defense, and more importantly, a huge amount of Briton crossbows that are coming in. And look at Max. Max wants to build a gate here to prevent their opponents from moving into the middle. It's all about that idea. Suomi wants to make sure that they limit the opponent's map control in the middle. It looks like Vodka will start moving through the entire middle here. He could intercept a couple of reinforcements, but he could also get his army trapped in here really fast. So Kamigawa was going for a very greedy boom here. Now goes for husbandry and just now scrambling to get the upgrades. Tumbling will be in for Vodka though, as he might be able to take a good fight here. These are Ethiopian crossbows with +1 defense, and Tumbling Opposing side, Vilas does have +2 defense, but no tumbling just yet. So the crossbows will just exchange fire here, but this should still be better, I believe, for Vodka, because Ethiopian crossbows bust tumbling actually is a bigger difference maker than +2 defense, but it very much seems like it's just going to end up being an even trade of crossbows, partially fueled by the fact that this micro here from Vilas is slightly better, and Vilas retains 14 of his crossbows as opposed to just 8 from Vodka. Unit control was better there for Suomi. And now they seem to be having a firm control over the middle. 54 crossbows for Rubenstock with Britons. That is ridiculous. That is just crazy. And keep in mind that behind this one, Vilas is actually slowly piling up resources for an early Imperial, something that he did in the first game as well. Hill advantage now on the side of Rubenstock, and they are going to be the ones that are taking down this TC here. And now, heal advantage with the Britons. Tumbling is just now coming in for Ganji. But still, they're going to be fighting up hills, cavalry dancing coming in, as the main concern for RoR will be that Vilas is going into Imperial, and he will just be able to snowball the game with Orbs. Nicely using the Briton range advantage to hold that hill is Rubenstock, and honestly, I think that this is once again a better fight for the Finns. RoR is not playing bad, but the Finns are just doing the same thing that RoR is doing, just better. And I feel like this map actually nerfs the RoR team quite badly. PAG would have been a much better map for them to play on, because it's a lot more unique. This map actually is very reminiscent of Battle of Africa's Grand Barra. I think it was Grand Barra, right? And Suomi is just very good in those maps, so I just don't think that this map was good for RoR in general. And we also have an imp coming in here from Max, so Buck is sticking really badly for RoR to force an engagement. I just don't know how they could possibly do that. Now, Ganji takes the hill here with the tumbling crossbows, so that could be something, especially if the knights come back from the other direction. In the middle, it very much seems like Vilas is winning a little 1v1 versus Vodka here. 31 crossbows versus 44, and those will soon be arbalests for the Finns. And I just feel like if we look at the KDs, that tells the story. Kamigawa at 0-10, Vodka at 37-45. All of the RoR players have a negative KD, and all of the Finns, well, actually Max has 1 kill, 12 losses. So Max is also just losing units in general. But the main damage dealer is Rubenstock with those Briton crossbows. A castle drop coming in the middle from Max in an effort to deny some gold. And remember that he's gonna be able to resort Chivalry when he reaches Imperial. And just look at the massacre that Rubenstock is causing with those Briton crossbows. If you have good unit control, you can just pick them off from a distance, and we are looking into 2 Imperial Age players from Suomi, and the third one is just about to click up, whereas not a single RoR player is an Imperial. And when Arbalest and Bracer comes in here for these Orbs, they will just annihilate everything in their path. Max will probably open with traps here so he can start shelling buildings, and you see that Vilas already tries to build on that Arbalest play and drop a castle in the face of the opponent. And we will soon have a Cavalier as well for Max. I just don't know how RoR could actually come back into this one, and indeed, they tap out. Suomi winning somewhat one-sided best of 5 over here, I have to say. RoR had their moments, but they were never able to win in the closer situations. They did the exact same thing that Suomi did, just slightly worse. And because of that, Suomi was able to win all games very consistently. And the end result is 3-0 over here. Suomi moves into the semifinals to fight against either Doubt Slam and Nili, or the alternative is Tempo Storm. So, yeah, congrats to Suomi. They played really well. RoR actually had a good showing in this tournament versus White Wolf Palace, but they apparently couldn't repeat their performance there against Suomi. Suomi probably came in well prepared for these maps, and as I said, the only thing I am actually a little bit disappointed about is because I believe that if I just look at this map, this is a Suomi map. even against like the majority of the teams, I think I would put Suomi ahead of a team like Tempo on this map or White Wolf Palace. Maybe not GL because GL was so good on Grand Barra in Battle of Africa 2. But yeah, basically, I think this is typically a Suomi map. Whereas on the other side, Pag would have been a map that it's a little bit more gimmicky and it gives a bit more chance for RoR. So I think if they don't call the restart there, they would have had a better chance in the third one. This is probably the most one-sided game of all. And with that, we're going to have Suomi winning this set overall.